Hi everyone, Professor Dingman here, and I thought I would go into a little bit of an explanation about book club. So we're going to start off with our modules, and I just want to give you guys a quick little tip. If you didn't know, you can collapse modules. So, if you wanted to make the modules page a little less overwhelming for yourself, you can collapse these modules and it tucks them up here for you, and that way it's easier to get to the things in essay 2. You don't have to scroll for so long. So keep that in mind. And to bring them back, you just click on it again and it expands the module. So that's just a little tip on how to navigate. Where we're headed is to our book club overview page, which is towards the end of this week's assignments. You'll see right after the journal is the book club overview page. We're going to click on that and it'll pull up an explanation. So what I want to do is go over this with you guys so that you know what you are doing for book club. Okay, so much like our journals and our blogs, a big key part of this is going to be interaction, right? In a face-to-face class, we would sit in groups and we would do book club and share our different things that we found as we were reading the book. And since we can't be together, since we're doing online class, we're going to try to do it online like we've been doing with, I said, the blogs and the journals. You're going to leave your comments and post back and forth discussing the issues that come up in Orange is the New Black. So like the blogs and the journals, there are 2 dates. We have 2 dates. Let me hold that up close to the camera so you can see it. Two dates for book club, right? You have to post your reading log. That's your assignment, your work, by Sundays at midnight. And then you have to go into your group mates, go back into the discussion board and comment on 2 other group mates' work by Wednesdays. Okay, so I'm trying to stagger things so that not every assignment is due on Fridays and Sundays. But some things are due Fridays, some things Sundays, some things Mondays. So I staggered this for you guys. So we need to finish your reading and your metacognitive reading log by Sundays, and then go back into the discussion board by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. to comment on 2 of your group mates' work. Okay, so why are we doing this? Well, book club is just another way to help you develop your critical thinking skills and also critical reading and writing skills. But instead of having you read all alone, you're going to be reading with your group. Yes, you're going to do the reading alone and independently, but you're going to be sharing your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, right? Your analysis of this text and discussing that. And that helps us right, really kind of bring into different perspectives. Other people in the book who are reading the book might interpret things in the book differently than you do. And it's a great way to kind of, have that kind of conversation and to hear what other people are thinking about the same thing that you're reading. So it doesn't have to be this really solitary, solo event. You can do book club, and that makes it a fun way to learn and to interact with the people in our class. So what we're doing with this, right, is we're reading Orange is the New Black, and we're reading Orange is the New Black because we're going to be taking a close examination at the US criminal justice and prison system for essay number 3. For essay number 3, you're going to be writing about a problem that you see in prisons, right, in the prison system or in the criminal justice system at large. And you're going to, create essentially an argumentative research paper where you argue about a problem and how, what needs to be fixed to address that. So where are we getting our information about prisons and the criminal justice system? Well, our core text is Orange is the New Black. So that's what we have to do first, right? Is we have to break down this book and look at the different problems that the author presents in the text and in the criminal justice system. And then as we're reading, we're keeping a list of the problems that we see in the criminal justice system and the prison system that Piper Kerman brings up in her book. And then, after we finish with essay 2, once we start essay 3, we're going to look at all those problems that we've documented and pick one to write about for our research argumentative paper. So let's talk about what we're doing for book club. What is that metacognitive reading log that's going to be due on Sundays? So here's what you're going to do, right? So you're going to read, and you're going to be looking for these 4 things as you're reading through the chapter. One is called the main events in media. And for this, you're going to find either a picture or a meme or a song that represents each assigned chapter in the left-hand column. So I'll pull up the sheet so you can see it. And then in the right, you explain why you chose that picture or song or meme. So we click on this link here to get to the metacognitive reading log. So it looks like this, right? And you'll see there's 4 separate pages for each of the 4 things I have you doing, but don't panic. You're not going to have to fill out 4 full pages of information. Some of these are just kind of bullet point things. So this is the form that you're going to be using. Remember, I don't give you access to my documents. In order for you to be able to work on this document, you need to click File and make a copy or download it, right? And you can download it as a Word document or those other formats that they have listed here, okay? Or make a copy if you have your own Google Drive, and it'll save this in your Google Drive. Okay, so that's how you work on this document. If you forget what you're supposed to be doing, you can always click on this link here and it'll take you to the instructions, which are also what we're going through now on the book club overview page. Okay, so I've tried to link everything so that you always know what you're supposed to be doing for each section of this metacognitive reading log. And I also have a sample that is on the page and we're going to look at in just a moment. So for this first one, right, the main events and media, like I said, you're going to find a picture, a meme, or a song that represents each of the assigned chapters. And they usually give you about 4 or 5 chapters per assignment, okay? So try to find, 4 things. And then in the right-hand column, you explain, how do you think this represents the chapter to you? So let's take a look at my sample that I did for you guys. And again, please don't write on these, don't comment, don't change this sample. Don't do anything other than scroll and look at this. Because in order for you guys to see my comments, my little explanations over here, I have to give everybody permission to comment, but please don't do that because it ruins my original sample here, right? Same thing, click on File and download a copy of this as a Microsoft Word document or a PDF or something, or just come back and look at it anytime you want to, but please, please, please don't comment, edit, or try to change this document, okay? You doing that changes the document for everybody, and then I have to get in there and delete all your stuff out and fix it. So please don't do that. So let's take a look at my example here. So for chapter 1, I picked a song that I thought really represented chapter 1. So it is this song called Hot Child in the City. All right. And you can get a little preview here. Oops, where is it? Open and preview. And it'll open up the YouTube video. And I prefer if you guys put like a YouTube link so that your group mates can hear the song. Okay, so you put the song that you think represents this part of the chapter, and then over here you explain why you picked that song. And for me, when I read chapter 1, I see Piper Kerman as the hot child in the city, this bored, privileged white woman looking for adventure, and gets involved with this drug smuggling operation. And it makes me think of that, right? When I hear this song or when I'm reading this book, it makes me think of her just running around carefree and getting into this drug smuggling deal and not really understanding what it is, how dangerous it is, and the legal repercussions that she's about to face because she got herself involved in this, right? And then for chapter 2, I picked the theme Bad Boys from the show Cops. Because I thought, well, Piper couldn't outrun her trouble for very long. Eventually the law does catch up with her. That's why the book is called, right, Orange is the New Black, My Year in a Woman's Prison, because she gets caught eventually and she does her time, and that's what we're reading about. So for me, I just felt like, yeah, she couldn't outrun it forever. They caught her. And then I also included, just to demonstrate, I found this picture of an infographic from Drug Laws Drive Racism in the Justice System. From this website here, you can take a look at that. But what it's showing is that Black people are treated more harshly for drug possession. So this is looking at cocaine possession, and you can see the people who are actually sentenced more often for these crimes are Black people as opposed to white people, which is something Piper discusses in this book. She does bring up the fact that race plays a huge part in our criminal justice system, and she's very well aware of the fact that because she comes from a life of privilege, she's able to get a better deal when she comes up for sentencing. Okay, Piper is somebody who's pretty aware of her privilege. So I did put that because Piper is wealthy and white and had years to prepare her case, which you'll see when you start reading this, she receives a pretty mild sentence, right? And then people of color, you can just put, I would continue, get longer sentences, right? So that's what you're putting here. Just a brief explanation of why you picked that song or that picture or that meme too, right? Sometimes these memes say just exactly what's wrong with society in these really quick, pithy, succinct pictures, right? With minimal text. So that's the first thing. Okay, so that's the first thing you're looking for is just give me a song, a picture, or a meme for each of the chapters and explain why you think that song, picture, or meme represents that chapter. The next thing you should be very familiar with, golden lines. So for this part of the chart, you're going to list out one golden line per chapter, and on the left column and on the right column, your explanation of why you picked it, right? Why it's a golden line. So let me just move this over here. Of why you think this is a golden line. So we have this here, right? And I have explained all this every step of the way. So here, the golden line that I chose from chapter 1 was, I came from a family that prized education. We were a clan of doctors, lawyers, and teachers with the odd nurse, poet, or judge thrown into the mix, end quote. And you can see I cited it. Please cite it and work on continuing to practice this. Kerman 8, right? Kerman, page 8. You put the author's last name and the page number because I did not put a lead in here where I mentioned the author's last name. It doesn't say Kerman says, Kerman states, Kerman tells us. I just put the quote down. So in that case, I put the author's last name and the page number where I found that quote. All right, so just put the quote down there. And then here on the right hand, you just need like a sentence or two that explains why you think this is a golden line. Why is this an important quote from the text? And I put, she has a different background from many of the women we expect to see in prison. This will influence how she sees the prison environment. So because she comes from a family that's educated and she herself is essentially Ivy League educated and comes from this life of privilege, she kind of has a different viewpoint on what's going on. It really is kind of like an outsider's look into this system that many people from her walk of life don't experience. And her education also provides another lens and gives her the ability to write about these things too. So that's what you do. Drop your quote, explain why you picked that quote. Why is it golden for you? Why is it a good quote to pick? Why does it stand out for you? Okay, so the next one we're looking at is unfamiliar words or concepts. For this book, you're going to find out right from the very beginning, Piper Kerman has a stunning vocabulary. And she uses a ton of different words, including like little French sayings and things like that. So the whole time I was reading her book, I was like, man, this is a great lesson on different vocabulary and how to use different vocabulary words. And when the first time I read this book years ago, when it first came out, I myself had to look up some of these words and especially the French sayings and things like that. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for unfamiliar words or concepts. So words are going to be literally words that you come across that you don't know the meaning of. Like, she uses the word bohemian. If you didn't know what bohemian is, just look it up in a dictionary and write down what it means. But I also have unfamiliar concepts because she's talking about different things we might not know what they mean, right? So once they get into like the prison system, when she's involved in the prison system, she's going to be throwing out different terms and acronyms and things like that. And you should look them up if you don't know what those things are. Like, what is a solitary housing unit? What does that mean? Or money laundering, what does that mean? Or the school that she went to, right? It's an Ivy League. Do you know what an Ivy League is? Do you know why her school, Smith, is such a big deal, right? Those are things you can look up. And that's what I mean by unfamiliar words or concepts. So unfamiliar words would be words you literally have to look up in a dictionary. Concepts would be like things you're going to go look up in Wikipedia. And for this, since this is an informal assignment, this isn't like, a full-on research thing that we're doing quite yet. I will let you use Wikipedia for to look up what these concepts are, or just a quick Google search if you don't want to use Wikipedia, to look up what are things like Smith College, the Ivy League, what's a SHU, what is the Bureau of Prisons, like those types of things. Okay, so do the metacognitive log for that. Just jot down at least one. Okay, so again, just 4. I put a couple just for my example here, but you only have to pick one. So right away in chapter 1, she uses this word called a jeune fille, which is French, and it means young girl. Okay, I jotted down Smith College because that's the concept. It's a place, and I gave the definition here. And then the same thing here, chapter 2, I gave a concept and an explanation of what it is. All right, so that's what we're doing for the third part. So unfamiliar words or concepts. And then the last part is the really important part of this assignment, okay? Because this is, like I said, the running list that we're going to be keeping for the whole time we're reading this book of these different problems in the prison system and in the criminal justice system. And we're going to be able to come back to our reading logs to look at this problems list, and you'll see all the different problems you picked out while reading the whole book, and you can pick from one of those to do your research paper. Okay, so starting with chapter 1, I didn't pick in a prison problem because she's not there yet, right? She's committing the crime in chapter 1. She hasn't yet encountered the criminal justice system in the prisons yet. So we start with chapter 2 for the prison problems. So chapter 2, there were some prison problems that I noticed. I think conspiracy charges are kind of problematic, and mandatory minimums are problematic. And I explain here why these are problematic. And Piper will explain them, but you can also Google it. Why is this a problem? What is the problem with mandatory minimums? And like I said, I won't kind of give it away. I'll let Piper explain it. But essentially, it's kind of taking power away from judges, and it's a harsher sentence for some people when maybe they don't need to have that harsh of a sentence. All right, so that's what we're doing with book clubs. This is the end of the list here. Okay, get rid of this. Okay, so we're doing these 4 things. Let's just go over real quickly once again. So the first thing you're doing is main events in media. Pick a picture, a meme, or a song that represents the chapter and explain it. Second one is the golden line. Pick a quote from each chapter and explain why you picked that quote, why it stood out to you as a golden line. Part 3 is unfamiliar words or concepts. Jot down words or concepts that you don't know, and then look them up and explain briefly in like a few words or sentences what they are. All right, and then our last part, the most important part of this, the prison problems. Just keep a running list of the problems you see in each chapter that involve the prison system and the criminal justice system. And then just jot down here, why are they problematic? What makes them a problem for our system and for our systems? Okay, so that's what we are doing. Now then, don't forget, this part needs to be completed by Sunday and uploaded to that discussion board thread. All right, and then by Wednesday comes part 2, and this is where you go in and you comment. And I'd prefer for you guys to comment on the problem section, but really I'll let you comment on their other work, like the songs. You guys can totally have a conversation about the songs that people are picking to represent chapters, or their memes or their pictures. But if you do comment on the problem section, I would want you to consider using these types of questions, right? Because that's always something we would need a little bit of help with, is how do I form questions for my group, right? I give you guys some sample questions for peer review for the conference, right? How to ask questions of me. I'm giving you a couple sample questions here for you guys to use as guides to ask questions of one another. So did you find the same problems? You could ask them that, or discuss that, comment to them. Did you find different problems? You can make a comment about that. Oh, hey, I've noticed something completely different. Do you think they're serious problems? Does this other person think they're a serious problem or not really a problem? What should we do to fix these problems? You can comment back and forth on something that you think would be a solution to fix those problems. Right? So those kinds of conversations revolving around the problems. And then, like I said, if you want to comment on the songs or the golden lines or the vocabulary stuff, you can comment on that too. But I would like to see some discussion going on about these problems, because like I said, you might not pick up a problem that one of your group mates does. And then now you have an even better list that we're looking at all semester long, where you can see all the different problems that other people in your group also found. And that really helps us brainstorm once we get to that essay 3 unit. Okay. Now, keep in mind, I do have this note here. And, I mean, obviously by this time, you guys should see we have such a high workload in this class since it is a 5-unit class. So really the name of the game is do not procrastinate, especially with book club. It becomes super, super easy to fall behind. And then it becomes a nightmare trying to catch up, right? Because like I said, each reading assignment is like 4 or 5 chapters. So your first book club assignment is chapters 1 through 4, I believe. Okay, so that's going to be really hard if you are leaving that to the last minute, or if you're like not doing it and then you have to play catch up and then you have like 8 chapters to read. Don't do that to yourself. And just like I've been doing all semester, I'll continue to post the daily breakdown, and I help you guys by telling you which day to read which chapter to break up that work for you. So I'll have you like listening to an episode of Serial and reading a chapter of Orange is the New Black. So try really hard to stay on my schedule, or make your own breakdown that works better for you, but make a schedule and stick to it, and really, really try your best not to procrastinate or to miss assignments. That way you don't have so much to catch up on. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. If you have any questions about how to do book club, or if you need any guidance or you need any help, please feel free to contact our tutors, Priscilla and Marissa, or contact me and we'll help you out. All right, everybody, I'll see you next time. Take care.